When you are starting to think about planning out a brand new garden space, you have got to have a little bit of imagination and planning before you actually put anything into place. So behind me right here, we are going to be putting in two 16-foot long beds, cattle panel arches, and a couple of mulched walkways so we can actually work our way through this garden. Now, I've done this several times, so for me, this is something that I can put on paper pretty easily. For you, you may want to start a little bit smaller, really think about your dimensions and what you want your finished garden to look like. When you are assessing a new space, you need to think about a couple of things. This space gets full sun, it has access to water, and we have wonderful flat ground, which is ideal to have to work with. You're also looking at a blank slate, so you need to think about how big everything is going to be once it is in there. Since we're going to have beds and cattle panels and another set of beds, I had to think about the width of the beds here, how far apart I want the cattle panels, and then also how big do I want the beds on this side. So for this space, I'm wanting to have two 3-foot wide beds, so that's 6 feet, and then I want 5 feet for the cattle panels to arch, so that's 11 feet. So 11 feet of this space is going to be taken up, and I have to think about mulched pathways so we can walk around. The first step for me is always measuring everything out. So right here, I am measuring out my pathways. After everything is measured out, I use landscape fabric. You can use whatever you want. I just like these for the mulch pathways because I feel like it helps with the barrier of weeds and also helps so that grass does not grow in those spaces. You can see we've got some of the mulch pathways and one of our beds is in place right here. This is just us putting more and more mulch in. This is a huge part of the process. You're going to be putting down your paper, spreading the mulch as it comes in, and that's when you'll really start to see the space come together. This is a really great time to check your measurements again because once all the mulch and the dirt are in place, it makes it really hard to make any changes. You're going to start seeing cardboard in the beds. I like cardboard to block the weeds. This will break down over time. I generally like to do this a couple weeks before I actually put dirt in the beds, but we just didn't have time to do that. So water it really often. It will help the cardboard to break down and help your plants to grow through it. Now comes the really fun part of driving the T-posts into the ground. We have a T-post driver, which makes it incredibly helpful. And then we are putting these in place. This can be a little bit tricky. We've done this together several times. You want to make an arch out of this. They are bendable, but it does take a little bit of work on your part. And then you're just going to keep repeating this process for however many cattle panels you want. We had 3 today, so that's how many we are going to be putting in place. You can use the bottom of the beds to really help stabilize these, and then you can attach them to the T-post with some sort of metal or a zip tie, whatever you have on hand. I have been known to put these in by myself, but it is much easier if you have at least one other person to help you. And here is just a finished view of the first 2 beds. Now we are moving on to filling the beds. Not pictured are the boys getting compost and fill dirt and bag dirt as well. I do not stick to a specific mixture, but if you go with about 1/3 of each, you're usually going to be okay. Here is just another view of us getting the beds into place and showing you what it looks like throughout the process. Here is me ripping open a bag of garden soil that I'm going to use for the top, and then I'll mix it in really well. Again, I do not have a specific brand. I usually just get whatever is on sale. If you're particular, you can get organic soil. I think these were on sale for $5 at Walmart, so that's why we grabbed them. And here's a look at the finished garden. It's going to be so beautiful. We're finally done. We got in our 4 beds and our cattle panels and mulched all the pathways. There was also just empty space here, so we went ahead and built a 3x10 bed for extra plants. So when you are envisioning your garden, you have to envision the pathways, make sure that you have space for those things. We have a very wide pathway here because we will go through with a wheelbarrow here. We need to be able to walk through it with large potting soil, so we didn't want to make this too small. And then we have pathways in between our beds in the cattle panels and also a pathway right through there. We decided to use 5 feet in between these beds so that we had plenty of vertical space, but also we could walk under the cattle panels. We also went ahead and put a 3-foot pathway in here so we can walk through here and have easy access to all sides of the beds. These beds are all 3 feet wide by 8 feet long, and we filled them with compost, fill dirt, and also garden soil. Just want to show you what you can do in an afternoon. I had lots of help. We had 2 teenage boys helping, my mom, my dad, and my husband. My husband built those beds, but you can buy raised beds that you just put together yourself. You can have somebody deliver the dirt for you. You can have somebody deliver the compost. You can even have somebody put it in the beds for you. You also do not have to have a giant space where you have 3x10 beds or 3x8 beds. You could just start off with 2 beds and a cattle panel and then build from there. This is supposed to be inspirational and show you what you could do and also show you how to start it from scratch from a place of dirt to getting the garden built out. Absolutely exhausting, but totally worth it. I cannot wait to see what the space looks like in the summer once we get some plants in there.